Next on America's Day at the Races, Amundsen looks to go back-to-back. He dueled with Lutsky every step of the way to pull out the victory back on September the 14th here at Belmont. We'll see if he can go back-to-back. Meanwhile, the caretaker, he's in the third new barn in his last 3 starts, looking to go back-to-back at Belmont. It's our feature race, the 7th at 6.5 furlongs. Coming up on America's Day at the Races, our show brought to you in part by America's Best Racing, the go-to site covering the sport and lifestyle. Visit americasbestracing.net today. We're approaching the 7-minute mark to post for the 6th race. Coming up on a gorgeous Friday afternoon, back to action after yesterday's card canceled because of high winds made for unsafe conditions. We are back at it today. Greg Wolf alongside 2015 NHC Tour champion Jonathan Kinchin, and that 7th race appears to be wide open. Both halves of the entry certainly could be tough in there. Amundsen coming off that grueling, gritty win. I love the way he dug in there. Who do you like in that race?
Look, I like Amundsen if he was drawn to the outside. Being drawn down to the inside, the rail hasn't exactly been where you wanted to be here at Belmont for the fall meet. I ended up landing on the 6th caretaker. I think that Amundsen, as well as London House, could hook up. And here they come rolling down the middle of the track with the caretaker.
Now, London House coming in off the bench for trainer Steve Asmussen. We've not seen him since mid-February. So he comes in fresh, trying to win his 3rd start in a row. Our track conditions today brought to you by Piranha Fly Spray, the preferred fly spray of Belmont Park. Piranha on, pests gone. Main track, fast turf condition, good. And we will be on the turf in our 6th race and 8th race to close out the card in that finale. Mile and a 16th in that New York bred 40 maiden claimer in the 8th. So we take a look at the field here for race 6. 7 furlongs on the turf, New York bred. Entry level allowance coming up. And right now the favorite horse is going to be coming from very far back. Nuts for Bolts, the 9 for Rob Atras.
Look, I understand why this horse is favored. I have a hard time leaning on closing sprinters in turf races. I think that there's a lot of bad things that can happen in those situations. I prefer horses going to be a little bit more forwardly placed.
I'll kick things off with Honorable Hero, John Toscano Jr. 2 back. This horse a winner for 30,000, non-winners at 2.
Yeah, I'm just a little bit concerned that the barn's been a little bit cold. 1 for 26 here at the meet. That's a concern for me.
Preferred outcome, Jose Lezcano, Anthony Ferraro, and 2 back on turf. That was a decent figure.
I like that 2 back on turf where he was closing into a slow pace, going shorter. I think he'll appreciate the added distance.
Rider change on the 3. Kevon Serrano on Big Wonder for Napal Chatterpaul and brings speed to the race.
Facing winners for the first time, beating a group of maiden 40s last time.
Albie, blinkers going on this afternoon. Carlos Martin takes over.
Yeah, first time Carlos Martin. This horse had an interesting trip last time, being down on the inside, adding the blinkers back on.
Big long shot, Constant Night for trainer Mary Black.
Yeah, the horse is 31 to 1 on the board, and I kind of see why. I don't see a way for this horse to get it done.
Riken, David Donk, Declan Carroll showing up here at Belmont Park.
Declan Carroll, the bug up here with our guy Mig. I like this horse a little bit, a little forwardly placed. Had some speed last time, going much shorter, and went too fast in that race.
Yeah, Richard Migliori, his that young man's agent. So they're getting things kicked off here as he shifts his business to New York. Mystical Song we'll see next, I believe. And there he is, Luis Saez, Rodrigo Ubillo.
Mystical Song had a good enough pace last time to close into and didn't. I'm a little bit concerned about that performance.
2 to 1 favorite. Nuts for Bolts beat a neck at this level last time out, but he is going to come from way far out of it. He's got to work out a trip.
Makes a ton of sense. I just don't like closing turf sprinters at short prices.
2 to 1 favorite. Nuts for Bolts. And Al Fastest is the 10 horse, 31 to 1. I thought you could actually make a little bit of a case for this horse.
Cleverly named. I think 31 to 1 on George Weaver is a steal no matter what's going on. The horse ran okay in the last 2 starts. Obviously a step up in class, not facing maidens this time.
Who are we looking at on the screen, by the way? Okay, that was the 10, Alpha's test, or Al Fastest, I should say. We're having issue monitors up here. So that horse at 31 to 1 on the board. Mike Luzzy taken over. So back to the 9. So here is our favorite again. And as you were saying, Yeah, I mean, first of all, the horse is going to come from so far back, has to work out a trip, has to get lucky to get some running room as well. So a lot of factors have to work out for him, and he's got to get a speed duel up front, you would think.
Can absolutely win, but I'm not willing to get 2-1 to find out.
Meanwhile, the 11, Quan BC, Charlie Baker, he finally put it all together, career start number 8.
Yeah, in that last start, he ran well, but he got a good setup in that race. I don't like playing horses who got setups last time and will need another setup to get the job done. I think their prices are always a little bit too short.
And coupled to the outside, hopefully we'll get a look at him here as we're 3 minutes to post. They're out there somewhere. But 3 Outlaws, the 12, I actually thought had a huge chance in this race, not taking a lot of money right now at 6-1.
Yeah, this is my top pick in the race. A horse that was close up to that quick pace we mentioned earlier that Riken was involved with, and gets a little bit extra ground. Will be able to travel a little bit slower earlier in this race. Drawn outside, won't get in any trouble. Might lose a little ground, but I think the 12's sitting on a big race. Just click down to 9-2. They must be listening to us, Wolfie.
Yeah, I mean, that was my top pick as well. And then the also eligible does get into the race, Starry Messenger. And here, rider change, Luis Rodriguez Castro aboard for Lawrence Smith. 2 back win on synthetic at Presque Isles, 1 for 14 on turf.
Yeah, hasn't really gotten any support at the windows. 87-1 last time, 22-1, 2 back, 29-1. I was going to have to step up from that wide post, already kind of up against it from a talent standpoint.
So we're 2 minutes away from the start of our late pick 3 and our first live race here of the afternoon. Coming up, let's check in for the first time today with Maggie Wolfendale.
And Greg, it's a field here for this 6 where there's a lot of horses. There's no superstars, but you can make a case for a lot of horses in here. And kind of judging from what I saw, at least in the paddock, as we are going to have some more abbreviated post parades just due to the wind here. I'm going to take a look at number 2, Preferred Outcome, who has not had many turf chances. And I kind of like him getting back on the turf. I'm somewhat suspect of the 7 furlongs, but he looks big enough / strong enough to be able to handle it. And he's tactical here. There does feel as though there's some horses that will be up on the engine, especially some stretching out a little bit further to the 7 furlongs. But Preferred Outcome, he can be tactical enough here at the 7, and I just thought at a price he looked as though he was doing very well heading into this effort. Now number 5, Albie, he will go first time out here for Carlos Martin, as Mike Dilger kind of getting rid of his New York breds and leaving them here in New York, rightfully so they're going to make starts for different trainers. He does put the blinkers back on. It's kind of interesting they did so. Maybe they felt he didn't really want to pass anybody in his last start, but in his defense, he was tracking a pretty hot pace that really came apart, and I like what I'm seeing from him here. He does put those 3/4 cups on, so he is pretty closed in. He could have shown just a little bit more energy for my liking. He was very kind of quiet as far as being back in the paddock, and out on the track he seemed somewhat quiet as well, but a logical contender that I think, I don't know what they're going to pull as far as dynamics are concerned, but I think he had a bit of an excuse in his last start. And then the horse who is taking the bulk of the play and chalking it out here for me is Nuts for Bolts, but I feel as though there might be some hitting up front. And as he turns back, and I actually think because he's a smaller, somewhat shorter coupled animal, that the 7 furlongs I think is A-okay for him. Yeah, he's 2 for 28. He does not like to win races, but he's looked better than ever for trainer Rob Atras, as he will be making his 6th start for the barn. Greg?
Maggie, thanks. So, yeah, I mean, he's coming off one of his best performances yet. Talking about the 9, Nuts for Bolts, he remains your 5-2 favorite. Just, Maggie mentioned the record overall, the turf record. He's just 1 for 21, but he nearly got there last time out at almost 8, better than 8-1.
That's what happens when you have a horse that doesn't have a lot of speed. You get yourself in situations where, you know, it's hard to get the job done. You hit the board a lot. He hit the board 9 times, I believe, in his turf start. So you can get there, but it's hard to get to the finish line first.
Let's see if he can get his first win at 7 furlongs coming up. Let's send it upstairs to the voice of New York Racing for the call. The 9, Nuts for Bolts, your favorite. Here's Larry Colmus.
Ricken moving into line, and Starry Messenger will be the last one to load here. Coming up to the outside stall. And they're all in line. They're off. And it's Ricken out fast. Starry Messenger on the outside. Preferred Outcome is right up there too. And there goes Big Wonder in between horses to fight for the front. And Al Fastest is right up in that group, too. Then it's Al B. Break of two back to Honorable Hero. Mystical Song is next. To their outside, Three Outlaws is next. And then Constant Night, Sean BC, and Nuts for Bolts. Up the backstretch they go. And up top, it is Big Wonder battling for the front with Ricken through a 22.88 opening quarter mile. 2.5 to Al Fastest running in third. Starry Messenger is fourth. And then it's Preferred Outcome fifth on the inside, some 5 lengths from the front. Albie is next on the outside. Then Honorable Hero and Mystical Spring as they make their way around the far turn. Constant Night is on the rail with 8 lengths to make up. Sean BC's going to circle up 3 wide, going around 3 Outlaws on the turn, and Nuts for Bolts is still at the back of the pack. So it is Big Wonder in front at 24-1 long shot, turning for home after a 46.04 half. In the clear by 2 at the top of the stretch. Preferred Outcome is second. Albie is trying to close in on the outside, and Honorable Hero comes splitting horses. Shun BC is there on the outside too, and here comes Shun BC up to grab the lead. And then it's Honorable Hero on the inside, followed by Preferred Outcome. Shun BC, Honorable Hero, these two coming down to the wire, and Honorable Hero's going to do it. Sean BC was second, then a photo between Albie and Nuts for Bolts.
Honorable Hero out duels Sean BC to the wire. Eric Cancel, John Toscano Jr.
So the barn was cold. They were 1 for 26.
Wow.
Now they're 2 for 27.
Well, this horse now won 2 of his last 3, so this one's going real good for the barn. And it looked like Sean BC in a great position to win this race mid-stretch.
No, I thought he was going to get there as well. And even Nuts for Bolts looked like he might produce a run to get the job done. But the one Honorable Hero saved a lot of ground out on the inside and snuck through right here. It's a great ride by Eric Cancel.
We've been saying that actually quite a bit lately. He's been taking some big steps forward and producing some very good rides. Gets the job done here on a double-digit horse. 10-1 Honorable Hero, just late, getting by Sean BC by about a neck for the victory here, and doing so at 10-1. So, son of Honorable Dylan now on a roll. 2 wins his last 3 starts.
Eric had a decision to make right here. He was kind of stuck in between horses, and he went ahead and took that split. Very brave by the rider and brave by the horse.
So, we've had no favorites win in this late pick 5. If you're still alive, this is shaping up to be awfully good. $22 horse here in the 6th, and 2 more races to come that do not look easy by any means. Eric Cancel, Honorable Hero. He's been aboard for each of those victories in the last 3 outings. Twice to the winner's circle. Back with the prices, and we'll talk newly minted, putting that perfect 4 for 4 record on dirt on the line in the Empire Distaff this weekend with 8 stakes races worth over $1.7 million ahead.
I think the bonus is really interesting. Mr. McInvale, as usual, is thinking outside the box, doing a wonderful job promoting his horse. Buyers will really appreciate having an opportunity like that to come back and run their horses at these top tracks and earn that bonus.
It's a wonderful incentive both for people in the market and people that own these horses. And I mean, what a great bonus it would be for anybody that wins. I think it's wonderful.
Run happy, standing at Claiborne Farm.
No sport in the world brings the wins home like racing. It's one-of-a-kind, high-speed, high-stakes action, and Naira Bets takes you there. Place your bets and watch the races live from anywhere. With Naira Bets, make easy, secure deposits and promotions every day to earn reward points or cash. Download the Naira Bets app or visit NairaBets.com. Sign up now for a $200 new member bonus with promo code LIVE at NairaBets.com.
America's Day at the Races continues as our first live race. It's in the books. An Honorable Hero, well, he gets the job done under a very brave, gutsy ride, performance, everything you want to call it here with Eric Cancel aboard. And Eric, you saved all the ground, obviously breaking from the 1 hole. That helps to do so. But he split horses, and boy, I mean, just a strong hand ride to the finish.
Yeah, I had a decent trip, you know, saving ground. Everything planned out pretty well. It was just a matter of having the hole in the stretch to go through. I wanted to initially go on the outside, but I didn't have nowhere to go, so I just stayed there, and it worked out well. It opened up a little bit, and I just went for it.
Now, a horse that you know, obviously that helps a bit, you won on him 2 back. But do you find with horses that sometimes they're there for you when you want to do that and sometimes they're a little bit apprehensive?
Yeah, when I was getting to the quarter pole, I could feel that I had a lot of horse. It was just a matter of time of just opening up, and as soon as I asked him, he just went for it. He didn't hesitate or nothing. We had a little bit of contact. He was funny about it, but once I asked him for a little bit more, he just came out of it and just kept on going.
Eric, I want to ask you about the horse you ride in the next race, Kosciuszko. I never know how to say it, but a huge performance off the bench last time with you aboard, and a horse that previously needed kind of to be on the lead, but he showed a new dimension last time.
Yeah, the trainer told me to just ride him confident, to just give him his time, because he was coming off a little layoff, you know, and I just rode him how he wanted, you know. We tried something different, bringing him from behind, and he reacted to it pretty well. Hopefully today he reacts the same way, because there's a few horses with decent speed in there, and hopefully it works out well and we could end up winning too.
Awesome. That'd be great. Well, best of luck. Congratulations, though, with Honorable Hero.
Thank you very much.
All right, Greg, as you said it, Eric Kunsell putting in some gutsy performances, especially on the turf.
Yeah, no question, Maggie. Look, we have a lot of really talented top riders in the game in this jockey colony. We've been mentioning Eric Kunsell's name quite a bit lately.
Yeah, you know, Eric is obviously a young guy who comes from the same school of you know, with Puerto Rico, with all those guys with Irad Ortiz and Jose Ortiz, and I think those guys just really understand this game. They understand what it's like, the business part of it. They also understand there's a mental side of it to it as well, and I think that Eric's really starting to pick that up.
And I like his horse Kosciuszko a lot in the next race. Comes in off about a 3-month layoff. He runs second to a horse named Binkster, who'd been on a roll this summer. So that'll be the 4-horse coming up in the next race as we take a look at the late pick 5 follow along. No favorites yet in a $23 horse. Already this pick 5 is going to pay.
Yeah, last time we were here on Wednesday, I felt like it was the opposite, right? I think it was every favorite was winning on Wednesday. So if you're alive here, you're sitting on a score.
And here is the Kosciuszko race where Eric Kunsell will look to go back-to-back. He's sent out by Patrick Quick, 6-1 on the board right now, coming off the best performance of his career. But right now, you see London House taking a lot of money coming in fresh for Steve Asmussen.
Yeah, Eric was right. There's a lot of speed in here. Amundsen and then also London House. I think that if you want to try to find something that can come from off of it. I think the entry is kind of dangerous. Singapore Trader could kind of sit off of that and come running. A little team tactics with that entry.
New York Reds, they get their day tomorrow. It is Empire Showcase Day. We hope you join us for all the action. And we are loaded with good races coming up on the Saturday program. Empire Classic worth $300,000, newly minted in that Empire Distaff, undefeated on dirt, putting that 4-for-4 perfect record on the main track on the line, and a host of other stakes races. So we hope you join us on Saturday afternoon. Race 5 will be the Empire Classic, and a couple of very, very classy veterans, New York breds who know each other well, and pat on the back and Mr. Buff going at it one more time.
The more and more I look at this race, I really like pat on the back here. Obviously, he ran really well in the Kelso, was able to relax in that race, come running against Open Company. You see here, he just kind of exploded. And this is like a grade 2 versus, you know, not the state bred types where he normally runs into. So obviously this performance was great, but I think he's going to get a great setup tomorrow and be able to have a very similar trip to this. Mr. Buff, Not That Brady, should hook up. They should be forward. Luis Saez on Not That Brady. Mr. Buff obviously likes to be on the front end, and I think Mr. Buff and Not That Brady could hook up and set it up for pat on the back.
Meanwhile, Evan Schiffman, Mr. Buff, Dynamax Prime, they went head-to-head, and Mr. Buff, he's so tough when he's anywhere near the front end, and he usually is.
No, he always seems to find his way towards the front end, and obviously being on the front end is a more advantageous trip than coming from off of it. Less dependent on the pace of the race, less dependent on a trip, and I think that's why Mr. Buff has had as much success as he has. Unfortunately, he's going to have a little bit of a pace partner, I think, on the outside, and Not That Brady. If he gets loose, he can win. I just don't think he'll be loose.
Yeah, Not That Brady making an equipment change. Blinkers coming off again. He was briefly on the Triple Crown Trail earlier this year. So a 3-year-old tackling some classy older veterans in that Empire Classic. As we take a look at the odds for the Empire Distaff, and this is where newly minted She deserves to be the one to beat. She's 5-2 morning line. She's coming off a 9-length score at 1 1/8 in the Fleet Indy, and now will cut back in distance to 1 mile.
1 1/8 off of a significant layoff, trying the 1 1/8 for the first time. This performance is visually impressive, but if you just look at the paper, it's even more impressive. If you add the layoff, you add it the first time going the 1 1/8, I think she's going to be extremely tough. I think she's going to improve off of this effort. She's drawn down to the inside. I would imagine they'll get going from down there, get on the front end, and make them try to come get her.
Jose Lezcano, he's been aboard for each and every start. He will be back on board tomorrow. She looks like an ultra tough customer. You think we'll get anywhere near that 5-2?
No, I don't. I mean, well, not too far off, but I don't think you'll get 5-2 or higher. I think she'll be a little bit shorter. The other competition in the race, probably Midnight Disguise, also for Linda Rice's barn. A lot of times when the same barn has 2 different horses, they kind of can hurt each other's price a little bit.
Radikowski going to be in there, so newly minted, not only putting that perfect record on the line, she's going to try and beat older horses as well. Radikowski, of course, a 5-year-old mare who has put together back-to-back wins. You can find out more information on the whole New York Bred program by going to nybreds.com, New York Thoroughbred Breeding and Development Fund, which is going to be a very fun Saturday afternoon, Empire Showcase Day. We hope you join us. We're going to take a break. We'll be back late double. Coming up when we return in a very competitive sprint here in the 7th.
Warfront. This son of Danzig ranks among the world's elite sires. With Grade 1 winners on dirt and turf and star performers both at home and abroad, Warfront's success as an international super sire is unmatched. Recent Grade 1 winners include Omaha Beach and Preakness Stakes hero War of Will. In the sales ring, his $2.4 million sale topper at Keeneland September was the highest price yearling sold in North America last year. Warfront, standing at Claiborne Farm.
It's America's original sport, and no one covers it better than americasbestracing.net. From the sport to the lifestyle, the best races, horses, and destination venues, cocktails, gambling, fashion, and more. americasbestracing.net is a sport for you. Live it, love it, bet it.
It's a natural thing that you upgrade some of your mares, your younger mares that you think have big potential. Due to the stallion roster is so big and high class, it helps you to take a mare on a certain level up to the next level. We breed a fairly high number of mares over there every year, and it's very easy for us to find 2 mares to breed to their stallion roster for sure. On a certain segment of our mares, it does have a big influence. It's an easy choice for us.
Whether you have Derby dreams or midsummer Derby dreams, this is Tom Durkin to tell you a registered New York bred can take you there.
Diversify!
That New York bred Exact and the Whitney by multimillionaires Diversify and Mind Your Biscuits shows the kind of quality that allowed New York breds to earn more than $93 million on the world stage last year. On-track successes have spurred New York bred sales result. At the March OBS sale, Chestertown sold for $2 million. And this New York bred 2018 yearling brought $1 million at Saratoga. So get with the program at nybreds.com.
Back on America's Day at the Races, our show brought to you in part by the champion sprinter Run Happy, now standing at Claiborne Farm for $25,000. Never lost in his career while sprinting and did it all while racing medication-free, and there he is in that legendary stall previously held by some of the greats like Easy Goers, Secretariat, now his home. And we're going to see his offspring hitting the racetrack in 2020. Win at Saratoga next summer with a Run Happy in an open maiden special weight, and there's a $100,000 bonus on the line. Of course, Mattress Mac, I know, sitting in a pretty good position with his big bet on the Houston Astros right now. Chance to close out that series in the ALCS tonight and move into the World Series.
I'd imagine he's feeling pretty good about that right now. And the people that bought furniture at his store, I bet they're pretty happy as well.
Yeah, they are. So good luck to all. Of course, we're based in New York. We were at the game last night. Looks like it's been a tough one for the Yankees here.
We had a good time. Had a good hot dog. You left a little bit early. You got a little cold, but
it's more the height thing. You know, I don't like sitting up high. Got some Breeders' Cup news, and I'm going to be all over you in a minute on a horse that you've loved for a long time. But let's start with Omaha Beach. Everyone wondering what race he's going to go to. That brilliant comeback race. He beat Chance-a-Lot in a sprint. And the sprint, Dirt Mile Classic, all on the table. They have chosen. Richard Mandela says it's Breeders' Cup Dirt Mile. What do you think?
You know, I think this is probably the spot that makes the most sense for a lot of different reasons. Obviously, Omaha Beach will go to Spendthrift. Matoli will also go to Spendthrift. Why have two horses in the same stallion barn running against one another? You can split them up. I was hoping Omaha Beach was going to run in the sprint. I wanted to bet against him. I don't want to bet against him in the Dirt Mile. That's going to be a very, very fun race. Probably improbable. Mr. Money should be a lot of fun.
All right, so that is one of a few horses who has some decisions to make. Meanwhile, Mike Smith, of course, taking off McKenzie. And he was available. You knew he was going to stay around available for long. He has now picked up the mount on Yoshida.
Yoshida's one of my favorite horses of all time. I love this horse. Unfortunately, I just don't think he wants the 1.25 miles, but it's interesting to see Mike Smith ride him for the first time. Mike knows a little bit about Santa Anita navigating a closer. Ask Zenyatta and some of the other great horses he's rode. He'll come running late with Yoshida. He'll time the run right. I just worry that the 1.25 miles is a little bit too far for him.
And yeah, I mean, you could say that for a few of the horses in there. Certainly McKenzie is one of them who has big question marks at a 1.25 miles.
No, that's the biggest question I think in this entire Breeders' Cup Classic is McKenzie. Obviously, he got beat last time in the Awesome again, but what's going to happen at the 1.25 miles? He hasn't had the most success at it. Bob Baffert said over and over he doesn't think it will be a problem. The way he ran at Saratoga didn't appear to be a problem, but he's still got to prove it.
All right, coming up, our 7th race here. Back to this Friday card, 6.5 furlongs, New York breds in this allowance optional 40 race. The entry, and there is half of the entry, the 3-year-old Amundsen for Horatio de Paz, Javier Castellano aboard. I love this start from him last time out. He battled every step of the way with Lutsky. This was a throwdown pretty much from the start. He's down on the inside. He battles back to get this win.
Very impressive. He was trying 6.5 furlongs for the first time. He'll be going 6.5 today. Right here, he got into a little bit of a dogfight, and he won that dogfight. Pulled away a little bit, like we've talked about. All meat. The inside hasn't been exactly where you wanted to be a majority of the meat, so this performance was an upgrade for me.
And he's had 5 weeks since that time. And Javier Castellano will be aboard this afternoon. It was Velasquez for that performance, but gets an inside slot again today as we look at London House. And this is a horse coming in just about fresher than anybody with the exception of the 1A, but he's put together back-to-back wins for Steve Asmussen.
And he's drawn to the outside, which I think is an advantageous trip. No matter how the racetrack plays, you get to kind of dictate, see what the other speed to the inside of you is doing. If you swapped them, that would be a little bit higher on the one who's ever drawn to the outside. It happens to be London House. That's why I thought he was the best of the speed, but I'm going to look for a closer in here.
London House looks like he has to have the lead. Right now, he's the 9-5 favorite on the board. New audience joining us right now as we get into the 7th race. Welcome to those just joining us on America's Day at the Races and our Fox Sports 2 viewers. Good to have you with us. Our show brought to you in part by America's Best Racing, the go-to site covering the sport and lifestyle. Visit americasbestracing.net today. It's a beautiful Friday afternoon here in Elmont, New York, as we get set for the final 2 races on this Friday card. We have a sprint coming up here in this 7th race, and then we'll be on the inner turf at 1 mile and 1/16 in our nightcap coming up. Greg Wolf alongside 2015 NHC Tour champion Jonathan Kinchin, the 7th race. We're going to get more into it here in a moment. We've already been talking about it for our viewers who've been with us on MSG Plus, but it looks like a lot of ways to go in here. We're talking about the entry, Amundsen, speed inside. London House, the 5-horse, more speed. Does it set up for someone to come from off the pace?
I think it does. I think it does. When you have 2 quality horses that are going to be hooking up on the front end, no one's going to get a breather. They're going to run at each other between the 3/8 pole and the quarter pole, and that's a possible opportunity to set it up for someone from coming off of it. Now, if one of them gets loose, I have no problem with them opening up and winning by 5 and the closers being left wanting more, but it feels like they're going to hook up at some point and could take a little starch out of one another.
All right, we'll get more into this race in just a moment. 8-5 favorite, the 5, London House. Our track conditions, again, for those just joining us, brought to you by Piranha Fly Spray, the preferred fly spray at Belmont Park. Piranha on, pests gone. Main track fast for this 7th. We will be on the inner turf at 1.16 in the 8th, and the turf condition listed is good for our finale coming up. As you look at our remaining late double here coming up, we're going to head downstairs, get a paddock report, and check in with the third member of our team on this Friday afternoon, Maggie Wolfendale.
Well, guys, we have two horses coming back in off of layoffs, and actually one of them happens to be the lettered part of the entry, and that's Singapore Trader, who returns for trainer Todd Pletcher for owner Barry Schwartz. And actually, this guy, in a few of his works leading up to this effort, had been working with Vino Rosso, who is on his way to the Breeders' Cup Classic, and this horse looks better than ever that I've ever seen him. As a 4-year-old now, he's really filled out. He's really kind of met that physical potential that he had. The only problem is the 6.5. I have my doubts about him being kind of that true sprinter. He's probably better going longer, to say the least. But I have to say, he does return here sharp. He's on the muscle. It's that good energy that's contained here in the paddock, and he's really painting a nice picture because he looks fit, he looks ready to go, and he's had a good work partner to get him there. As we'll also check in with number 5, London House, who's taking a lot of money. Now, when you look at London House's form, you have to obviously the 86 that he ran last time, and the 2 wins that he had early on as a early 3-year-old. So this horse born in March, so he's still technically a 2-year-old at that point. So there's every reason to believe that he can get better and improve off that. And I think that's what people are banking on him. Yeah, possibly this horse is working well. I am just a little dubious. While he has physically gone on, he's gotten longer in his frame, he's become more athletic. You look at his form also, he needed that first start. He also needed the start coming back in from August to December. He's a little soft here in the paddock, and he was a little bit obstreperous to get the tack on there. So we do see Steve's assistant, Toby Sheets, there on his head. So I'm just a little bit concerned about the layoff. I think he's a very good horse. I'm excited to see him back at the races. We'll see how he does here today. Greg?
Thanks, Maggie. 9-5, London House. And we'll see. He has not raced since February the 18th in here, and it looks like, especially coming in fresh, and a horse that needs to lead is going to be even more fresh.
I think it's a myth when most people will look and say that a 6 or 7 horse field's not a great betting opportunity. I love this race. I think there's so many different ways to go. There's so many exciting opportunities here. What's going to happen with London House, Amundsen, Singapore Trader? I love what Maggie said. The horse doesn't seem like maybe a sprinter. That's going to fit this one perfectly, dropping back a little bit and then making that run. He'll be finishing when the rest of them might be getting a little bit tired.
9-5. I'm missing more keen. I expect this horse definitely to be on the front end, that 5 horse at 9-5. Get signed up, started, play along with Naira Bets, $200 new member bonus. When you use that promo code LIVE at sign up, bet any track, anywhere, anytime with NairaBets.com, or download the Naira Bets app as well. Opportunities with these final 2 races on the card to take advantage playing the double here. So how are you going to play it?
Yeah, look, I like to kind of, weigh my tickets a little bit here. I'm going to do a $15 double, 6-4. I think the caretaker's going to get a great trip here. I like the 4 in the last leg, but I don't want to do it evenly. I want to kind of have some weighted tickets. I'm going to do a $6 double with London House into the 4 into the last race, and then I'll do one more smaller ticket, a $4 double with the entry into the 4 in the last. Kind of spread it out a little bit. Obviously, if my top opinion hits, I'll win a little bit more. And some of the savers, my secondary opinions, we'll take those too. But I wanted to have the $15 double on the 6, the caretaker, and the 4.
9-2 on the caretaker. So here's the other half of the entry. And this is a horse coming in off the longest layoff of anybody in this race here. Singapore Trader. Maggie loved the look and trained by that man right there. Todd Pletcher. Off since late January. Just seems like it's been better so far. I mean, we'll see, but so far in this point, it's been better going longer.
Yeah, but that's okay though, right? Like you said, he's not in a paceless race. If he was in a paceless race, there'd be a little bit more to worry about here. One of my favorite angles when you look at these workouts, there's a kind of a craze the last 10 years or so with workout reports. I like to see who the horses are working with. Maggie mentioned this one's been working with Vino Rosso. A quality horse. A horse will be probably top 3 choice in the Breeders' Cup Classic. So we're talking about a gelding here, a 4-year-old gelding that can hold his own with one of the best horses in the world.
In the morning.
Vino Rosso, he almost won here. The Jockey
No,
Club.
I'm saying he's holding his own
yes,
in the morning.
in the morning. Yes, of course. But there's got to be something to that, right? And he showed it in the afternoon a little bit.
Okay. Vino Rosso, for a long time, he was an absolute morning glory. And then he finally broke through, of course, won the Wood, and then had his Grade 1 winning moment, and which could make him very tough Breeders' Cup weekend, winning that 1.25 mile Grade 1, where we'll have the Breeders' Cup this year at Santa Anita.
He'll have to deal with his nemesis, won't he? Code of Honor.
See if he can get a little revenge.
Do you think they look at each other in the paddock and say, hey, you got lucky last time?
Oh, they know. The good ones do, right?
I would think so.
They know where that wire is. They know to bulk up a little bit when they come into the paddock with the rest of the field. We'll see. It's turning into a nice little rivalry between those two. And those two figure both to be in the mix in that race, too.
I would think so. On Wednesday, Richie Migliore was here with us talking about how impressed he's been with Code of Honor and the progression that he's making. So it's going to be a heck of a horse race come the first Saturday in November.
Here comes our post parade, and we start with half of the entry in here. Amundsen, he comes in off that victory. He's had 5 weeks since.
Loved the performance last time, concerned about the rail this time and the speed to his outside. But take a chance with him. You get the entry mate as well.
And here is the entry mate, and this is the one who's been working heads up with Vino Rosso, off since late January, Singapore Trader.
Like Maggie mentioned, probably wants a little bit longer, but the 6.5, the speed in front of him, I think he could be sitting on a nice race. I kind of wish they weren't entered together. I'd go with Singapore Trader.
Manifest Destiny, Kender Carmouche had a nice win on the turf earlier, back in race 5. Mike's girl.
Yeah, this is a big jump. 2 back. This horse I thought got a great setup. I'm against in this spot.
Like the posse, Charlie Baker, Junior Alvarado.
Yeah, he ran huge 3 races back. In that race, I still don't think is good enough to win here, and I don't know where that race came from. I'll pass on this one.
Kosciuszko, wow, 7-1. Not taking much play at all in here for Eric Consell. Patrick Quick.
Eric won the last race, and you heard him talk to Maggie say that this horse, they did a little experimenting, taking him back this time. I'd imagine they'll do the same here. He could get a piece if it falls apart.
And he was trying to run down a horse who's been in very sharp form in Binkster last start. London House, he's won back-to-back starts, but we haven't seen him since late February.
Right, but in February, as a very young 3-year-old, he ran a very fast number. And if he can just have that normal progression with age and maturity, he could be extremely tough here, drawn to the outside of the other speed.
And the caretaker, second beat a length against Tribeca, who would come back to win his next 2 starts, and then a win last start here at Belmont.
The only horse in for a tag, in for 40,000, because he's won 5 races. The conditions won't allow a horse to have won that many races and be here. He's in for a tag. He should get a setup, and I thought his last race was really good. Missed a break a little bit and kept plugging away. He'll have more pace to close out too.
So the entry at 9-5. Standing by with the trainer of this horse, and horse has been training with Vino Rosso, who we're going to see in a couple of weeks in the Breeders' Cup. Let's go to Maggie Wolfendale.
Thanks, Greg. And please be joined by Todd Pletcher, as Todd sending out Singapore Trader here in this feature event. And Todd, a horse that has had success going a bit longer, but wow, did he look sensational in the paddock?
He's doing great. We're pleased with the way he's training. He did break his maiden going 7 furlongs, and so we were hoping to run him like a mile off the layoff, and didn't quite work out. So hopefully he gets a pace set up here that could benefit him coming from a little bit off of it.
And he's been working some of his works with Vino Rosso. Is that just kind of he's a good workhorse, or do you feel as though he got a lot out of that?
No, he did get a lot out of it, and he worked actually very well, against a top-class older horse like that. So he's in good form, and we're looking forward to getting him started again.
Speaking of your Breeders' Cup Classic contender, Vino Rosso working 101 and change of the training track. Irad Ortiz aboard this morning. Talk about that workout.
Super workout. I mean, the horse is training really, really well. We're really excited about the Breeders' Cup, and it's one of those situations. I wish the race was this weekend coming up instead of 15 days from now, but super, super happy with the way he's doing. Great work this morning. Executed well, galloped out strong. Everything's pointing in the right direction.
Will he have another breeze over the training track?
We'll have one more breeze here. We're trying to basically duplicate what we did before we went out to the Santa Anita Gold Cup. He did all of his breezing on the Belmont training track before that, shipped out 5 days before the Santa Anita Gold Cup, and that worked out. So we're hoping for a similar result this time.
Excellent, Todd. Well, best of luck with him and Singapore Trader coming up.
Thank you.
All right, guys, Todd Pletcher, he knows how to get one ready, that's for sure. So I think Singapore Trader, very, very interesting here.
Singapore Trader, very interesting, and very interesting how good Vino Rosso appears to be doing.
He was working good going into his last race. He was working good going into the race that he was supposed to run at Saratoga. I think it was the Woodward. They decided to skip that, come back here for the Jockey Club Gold Cup. Look, he's a tactical horse. He can be forwardly placed. He's won over the racetrack at Santa Anita, which can be a little bit different, you know, as a West Coast racetrack, a little tighter. I think it's a little deeper now. But, yeah, I mean, he's sitting on a race, and he'll be a nice price.
Be so much fun. November 1st and 2nd championship weekend. Again, we've been promoting it on the show. You can get your tickets. Be part of all the festivities. A lot of people here on the show are going to be out there hosting various different things, including you.
Yeah, I'm just going to be hanging out.
Just going to be having fun playing the races.
Playing in the Breeders' Cup Betting Challenge, so that'll be fun.
Entry still at 9 to 5. You heard about Singapore Trader. What about the entry mate Amundsen, who's trained by Horatio Pletcher? Javier Castellano will be aboard. Let's go back to Maggie.
All right, JK, you know I love you. I'm going to have to beg to differ, though, about the rail situation, at least back when he ran. I think the rail was actually pretty good then. And not to take anything away from his performance, because I like him as a horse, and I've kind of followed him, and he looks sensational here once again. But I do think the rail helped him. If you look on the NYRA website, there's a track trends section, and albeit Andy does it, Andy Serling, but he does cite that the rail was very good on the day that he ran back on September 14th and several days before and after that. So we'll see. He could just prove best here, though. Greg?
So 8 to 5, there he is, moving in.
The best thing about bias and the best way to identify it is when they run back. That's how you can really know for sure. So there might be it's still debatable. We'll find out in about, I don't know, a minute and 20 seconds.
Yeah, there's a lot of, some handicappers think there's a lot of biases out there, but yeah, sometimes it's tough to know for sure until there's a lot more data put into it. In a lot of times we just hear people say those biases a lot more quickly than we have all the information that we need, but we'll see what happens here. We know one thing. He definitely was gritty and showed heart in that performance. And now he's got to tackle older horses, though, to try and back it up. So we'll see if he can go back to back. Javier Castellano aboard. Entry 8 to 5 in this spot. We send it upstairs to Larry Colmus for the call.
Just one left to go in here as the caretaker steps forward, and they're all in line. They're off. Manifest Destiny on the inside, Amundsen, and right up there to his London House. It's these three that speed out from Singapore Trader. Kosciuszko to the inside is next, and then the caretaker and Light the Posse. Up the backstretch they go, Amundsen in front, a half a length to Manifest Destiny. Outside of them, London House is third by another length and a half, then Kosciuszko, followed on the outside by Singapore Trader. 22.94 was that opening quarter mile, and then it's Light the Posse, who saves ground at the half-mile pole, and right alongside of the caretaker. So around the turn they go, Amundsen, Manifest Destiny, London House, now they're right across the track. Kosciuszko tracks them from fourth, 2 to Singapore Trader, then Light the Posse on the inside, and the caretaker at the back of the pack. They have run a half in 45.97 seconds, and they're coming to the top of the stretch. Amundsen and London House stride for stride as they turn for home. Amundsen trying to shake away. London House suddenly now 2 lengths behind, and Amundsen has just kicked away here at the 8th pole. Went from head and head to 5 in front in just a few jumps. And Amundsen is just running up the score from here. The race is going to be for second as the caretaker comes on late. Amundsen crushes them. Then the caretaker, Kosciuszko and London House.
By as many as he wanted, 3-year-old taking it to the rest of this group here. Amundsen, source is sharp right now, 2 for 2 at Belmont.
Oh, he ran unbelievable today. He had a real horse look him in the eyes, and he had some real closers behind him, and none of them could get close. He was phenomenal today, and this is one of those performances we talked about a little bit before they broke from the gate. This is the kind of performance that makes me want to look back to see what other horses were down on the inside back on September 14th.
Javier Castellano, Horatio Pletcher, Barry Schwartz, and a 3-year-old son of Curlin. final margin here? Over 10 lengths?
I'm bad at this game.
Oof, it was a lot. We know that. 8-5 in the end. The public got it right. This horse just ran a monster effort. He is getting real good right now, late in his 3-year-old campaign. He's won back-to-back starts. 3 of his last 5. Back with prices. We'll set up the nightcap right after this. Stay tuned.
It's been home to some of the sport's biggest moments, monumental achievements, and extraordinary records. At Santa Anita, we'll set another before the first gate even opens, as the Breeders' Cup returns for a record 10th time. This November, the stars will shine. Champions will be crowned. And when the unbelievable happens, you'll want to be there to see it. The Breeders' Cup World Championships.
Run happy, standing at Claiborne Farm.
No sport in the world brings the wins home like racing. It's one-of-a-kind, high-speed, high-stakes action. And Naira Bets takes you there. Place your bets and watch the races live from anywhere. With Naira Bets, make easy, secure deposits and promotions every day to earn reward points or cash. Download the Naira Bets app or visit NairaBets.com. Sign up now for a $200 new member bonus with promo code LIVE at NairaBets.com.
Back on America's Day at the races, Amundsen by as many as he pleased. Javier Castellano, Horatio Amundsen for Barry Schwartz, and a 3-year-old son of Curlin has won back-to-back starts, both coming here at Belmont. This was ultra impressive. 115-1.
No, he had his mind on running today, and he absolutely did that. Like I said, it wasn't a cheap performance winning by 10 or 12 or whatever it was. It wasn't where he just got loose and had a breather and extended his lead. He looked another real horse in the eye in the 5 London House, put him off the board while he was pulling away.
Let's send it downstairs to Maggie.
Please be joined by winning conditioner Horatio Amundsen, and Horatio Amundsen is in career form, and he's just a 3-year-old. I think that's kind of the most interesting thing about him, and he just destroyed this field today.
Yeah, he was doing really well. He came out of that race last time he ran up here in good order, and you know, he really stepped it up today.
Now, a horse that maybe kind of got his start earlier this year at Delaware. Has he just improved from what you've seen from him? I mean, to graduate from the allowance to this condition is pretty tough to do.
Definitely. He's definitely matured and learned to run and, you know, relax, and, you know, he's a pretty handy horse.
Now, we obviously came to know you by working with Sagamore Farm as their private trainer, but now you're a public stable. Talk a little bit about what your plans are for the future and where your horses are and plans for the winter.
Well, right now I'm stabled at Pimlico, and I do have horses over at Sagamore still. You know, obviously that was a great opportunity because, you know, we had some really nice horses and great people to work for. I still currently have some horses for them. And the future plans, I've always been lucky in New York, so, you know, keep on bringing horses over here. So
I'd say so. Well, congratulations, Amundsen. He looks like a really promising horse. Where do you go from here? Do you just go to an open allowance?
I mean, there's options. So, you know, we'll see how he comes out of it. You know, he likes running up here, so, you know, we'll keep him up here.
New York Breds, way to go. Well, congratulations.
Thank you.
All right, Amundsen, guys, he looks to have a bright future. It's hard to believe he's only a 3-year-old because that was impressive, and he's a big, impressive boy, too.
And you know, you talked about the horse he looked in the eye and put away. That was a 5-year-old who's in sharp form right now, too. So he took it to older horses in this 7th race. As you take a look at the late pick 5 follow along, first favorite that we've had come through in this sequence here, and with those numbers, $12.60, $9.90, $23 horse in race 6. These pick 5s are going to be sensational as we come here to our final race on the card, mile and 16th inner turf, New York Breds, $40,000 maiden claiming race, and right now it's 87 north. David Donk making start number 9, favored at 3-1.
Yeah, the horse makes it makes a lot of sense. Like you mentioned, David Donk, second time for David. Horse ran well last time, was down on the inside. I was a little bit concerned with, it was kind of a weirdly run race. He was 7 lengths out of it, but he was second early, kind of a runaway winner there. I like the 4, already celebrating.
6-1 for Tom Morley. We'll talk more about that one in a moment. Our show, of course, brought to you each and every day by Claiborne Farm. 100 years of doing the usual unusually well, and a new member of their roster for next year. Catholic Boy will be joining the Claiborne lineup. The just 3rd horse ever in America as a 3-year-old to win Grade 1s on both dirt and turf. Won the Run Happy Travers, won the Belmont Derby, and he has been sensational. 6-time graded stakes winner. He's going to stand for $25,000 at Claiborne.
I think he's a very exciting prospect. Like you mentioned, very versatile. But the most impressive thing about Catholic Boy to me was his grit. He was a hard-trying racehorse. I think there was 2 races here at Belmont. He was going against a horse named Analyze It. And Analyze It took the lead from him. He took it back.
Yeah,
that doesn't happen very
and
often.
the Belmont Derby. Back-to-back starts, he did it to him. I needed to analyze it both those days.
you and me both. You and me both. That's why I remember it so distinctly.
And yeah, I first remember him having his big sort of bursting onto the scene a little bit as a 2-year-old in a stakes race on the turf at Saratoga. He has been some kind of performer. We're still waiting to see. Sounds like if they go to the Breeders' Cup, it will be in the Classic. Love to see him go one more time.
No, I would too. It'd be great, but look, I think he's going to be a very interesting horse. A lot of diversity there with what you can get from him. Probably a lot of good mares will come to him. You can get a little dirt, you can get a little turf. So he was definitely an exciting racehorse.
Now going to stand for $25,000 at Claiborne, be part of that exceptional lineup at Stud in 2020. We're going to take a break in the action. We're going to talk Sunday stakes races and the Grade 3 Athenia when we come back. And Dina Del Sur for Tom Albertrani coming off a win in Monmouth last start. Could she go back-to-back?
Grade 1 winner and track record setter Lee. He traveled the world competing against the best of his generation. Now his progeny are hitting the track. His first winners include Saratoga standout Vass, with juveniles selling for over $400,000 and yearlings bringing up to $650,000. The sky is the limit for this promising young stallion. Lee, standing at Claiborne Farm.
Go from Railbird to Winner Circle. With My Racehorse, you have access to top horses and trainers, backside tours, exclusive ownership experiences, and fast payouts to your online account. With shares starting as little as $100, the Winner Circle is waiting for you. Go to myracehorse.com or download the My Racehorse app today to join the thousands who have already started their journey as a racehorse owner.
I'm a firm believer you don't put the saddle on the pedigree. I bought him strictly because of his physique, his conformation. And then when you looked at the pedigree, it was the perfect blend. Run Happy was an incredible, incredible racehorse, being supported by Airdrie Stud, who raises an incredible animal. To breed one of their best mares to him speaks volumes. It ended up producing an incredible result in this horse. And we just hope he runs to his looks and his pedigree.
Run Happy, standing at Claiborne Farm.
It's America's original sport, and no one covers it better than americasbestracing.net. From the sport to the lifestyle, the best races, horses, and destination venues, cocktails, gambling, fashion, and more. americasbestracing.net is a sport for you. Live it, love it, bet it.
Twelve categories covering the best of the sport and lifestyle, all decided by the fans. It's the America's Best Racing Fan Choice Awards.
Back on America's Day at the Races, ABR Fan Choice Awards. Voting takes place November 6th through the 20th. Make your voice heard in all these intriguing categories. And the awards show, our own Paul LaDuca, going to be the host, along with Tabitha Lipkin. So that should be a lot of fun. Have you voted yet?
No, you can't. I don't think you vote till after the Breeders' Cup on the 6th. But I've got some ideas for Best Racing Podcast.
Oh, wow. You're not going to vote for yourself, are you?
Oh, in the privacy of my own home, I'm going to vote for myself, but I'll probably act like I didn't.
Do you want to go ahead and give it a plug? Where can everyone find it?
Yeah, the In the Money Players Podcast, InTheMoneyPodcast.com. So
okay.
A couple shows a week.
There you go. Our ABR race of the week is coming up on Sunday. Grade 3, Athenia and Indina Del Sur. Coming off a victory at Monmouth in the Violet for Tom Albertrani. Luis Saez will hop aboard on Sunday. 3-time winner of over $330,000 on the turf will line up.
Oh, look, she was impressive last time at Monmouth, where she got a nice figure that day. And look, this race is wide open. And I think that when you can find a horse who's found the winner's circle recently, she's got an opportunity to improve second off of a layoff. I think she could be dangerous. This was a tough race.
Got the job done. Over 9 rivals in that spot. Just got up to win by a nose. And again, it will be Luis Saez aboard. Simply Breathless, meanwhile, she'll have the inside post. She was a winner of the Grade 3 Wilshire out west at Santa Anita in her second state start.
Yeah, she really exploded here. She had a nice turn of foot when she finally got clear and got produced. We talked about earlier today on Talking Horses. Turf racing, to me, is about it's about a couple of strides. About 8 strides in the long races, 4 strides in the short races. It just happens quick when you get produced and you can make that run and then just have the stamina to finish. And I thought she was simply breathless in that race. I didn't plan that. That was an accident.
She was breathless, and she's going to have a rider who knows how to time those moves pretty perfectly with Joel Rosario, who will be on board. We have the first and third place finishers in a rematch as well, who will both line up. And Sweet By and By, who went gate to wire back on September 22nd here at Belmont. Victorine would wind up 3rd in this race.
Yeah, I want Victorine out of this race. I thought that Sweet By and By kind of got an easy lead here, and she had everything kind of go her way and got the job done. But coming out of that race, I want Victorine, who was chasing and closing into that slow pace.
Chance she gets the lead to herself again, or do you think she gets pressure?
I think she's facing tougher. I don't know if she'll get pressure, but she'll have better horses running at her. Yeah. I can tell you that much.
Our nightcaps still have one more coming up here on this Friday afternoon card. It is a 1/16 inner turf. New York bred $40,000 maiden claimant. Still 87 North, who's favored. You have Double Happiness, though, who's dropping in for a tag for the first time in start number 3.
I thought this race was very straightforward. A lot of times these maiden 40s can be very tough to look at, hard to figure out who's going to do what. There's droppers, there's first-time starters. I thought there was 4 horses that could win this race. The 4, the 5, the 8, and the 9, and that was it. Yeah, it had to be one of those.
This one looks like she has a huge chance to get into the winner's circle today. Already celebrating Tom Morley, Dylan Davis. This was the first start back since October, returning on September 21st. Long layoff and just misses by a half length.
Yeah, she was gaining late. She was running. The pace was moderate. I thought it when I first looked at it, it was slow. It was probably just an average pace, but she was trying hard late. A lot of times that's a difference between these maiden specials and these maiden 40s, is their kind of their want to and kind of that drive. She was trying hard late.
She certainly was. I will say that the one that she tried to run down had been 0 for 13 to that point on turf, and followed that up, beating just one horse at Delaware in an entry-level allowance. But she beat everybody else home.
Well, the good news, she's running at the same level today. So and there's no big droppers. That's always a big concern when you see a horse that took money, maiden special weight, and dropped. Obviously, Bill Mott's horse, the 9 Double Happiness, is dropping. That horse was 40-1 last time.
I'm surprised. I thought the 4 would take a little more money than this. It's early, though, on the wagering as we take a look at the 5 Farcical. Ramon Aguayo sends this one out here. Start number 7 here this afternoon. Been in the money in 4 of 5 starts on the turf.
Yeah, like I said, there's 4 horses that could win. This is one of them. I thought this horse ran well last time, had a good trip 2 back, and then tried the 9 furlongs on October 2nd and didn't quite look as impressive. I think this one's going to appreciate the cutback. A lot of times people think that closers want more ground. It's not necessarily the case. Closers just need pace. Sometimes their run is a little bit shorter, and those longer distances dull that run. I think this one can run well as well.
Shorten up just a little bit from that 1 1/8 last time out. Farcical to 5, 7 to 2 on the board. As you get another look at already celebrating with improvement here. Second off the bench. This one could be ultra tough. As we send it downstairs, get a paddock report from Maggie Wolfendale.
Well, first, apologies. Last time that I listened to Andy, and much love to you, Jonathan, as why did I ever doubt you in regards to Amundsen? As we'll take a look at 3 of the 4 main contenders in here, beginning with number 4 already celebrating, as she's second off of a layoff, and always thought she was a turf horse. Took us a little while to get her there, but she's just really, really, really fit. Second off the bench here, and I mean, if you thought that she needed that start, then fine. She also has a little bit of a change of equipment. Last time she was wearing a Halton bit, which I talk about horses that want to lug in, lug out, with a figure 8, so it was a lot on there. Now today she's just wearing a regular D-bit, noseband, but a burr there on the outside on her right rein. So if she wants to kind of lug in, yeah, or lug out, I should say, it's going to prevent her from doing so. So that's a little bit of an equipment adjustment on already celebrating. But number 8 is 87 North for Dave Donk. She's coming out of that same race as Farcical, and I just think because she's a little bit more of a smaller, actually more petite filly, 9 furlongs was a bit of a stretch. So mile and a 16th, half a furlong less, that should aid her chances, and she's been consistent at best. The chances are starting to add up, but we'll see what she does second off the claim here for trainer Dave Donk. Number 9 is Double Happiness, who does get the drop down in class. And look, she fits with these. She's a bit on the smaller side, but furthermore, going back to her debut, she was really green that day, and she's so much more professional here in the paddock as far as preliminaries are concerned. She's dappled head to toe. She looks great. I mean, she's your favorite. At least here in the paddock, I can't fault her, but I do feel as though there's some interesting options, and we'll actually take a look at one who's a big price in here, as she should be, is number 6, Ari's gal Suse, who does get a stretch out in distance as those blinkers do go on. Just a big cheater cup with a hole in the side, but she is a very kind of light, more narrow frame, and therefore I just think those types do better when they get more ground to cover. Granted, she's probably limited. I will heed that fact, but I just thought the change in distance might help her chances here. Greg?
Maggie, thanks. 2 sprints stretching out for the 6, Ari's gal Suse, and the equipment change. Blinkers on, and a young man who had a win earlier on the card on our show, Eric Cancel, will be in the irons. Guided Honorable Hero to a victory at 10 to 1 back in race number 6. It's been the biggest price of this late pick 5 so far.
Yeah, we saw with Mike's girl earlier today, a stretch out like that can sometimes be exactly what the doctor ordered. You know, obviously they have to run a lot faster when they're sprinting at all stages of the races, and sometimes just being able to relax a little bit, take some deep breaths, can do a world of difference for some of these horses. So there's also always a possibility that this one will like the added distance.
You mentioned earlier on a couple of occasions you thought there were 4 horses who could win this race.
There's 4.
I thought there were a couple others. I wasn't going to just limit it to 5. The 7 horse, I thought Dancing Slippers has a couple of races against a lot better. That I know the horse dropped into this level last time out, but makes an equipment change. Maybe we'll wake the horse up a little bit. If she can run back to what she did in some of those state bred maiden specials, puts her in the mix, I think.
Yeah, I see what you're saying there. My problem is she's never bet, and she's never run a winning race. She's and to me that's a negative. If you can kind of have a bad trip and run a race that deserves run second or third or something like that, obviously I can consider that. But she just hasn't really done much running. And when she finally found her friends, which she'll be running with today at 40, she didn't really do much running there, beating 9 last time and facing a couple of horses that's in here as well.
By the way, there is a jackpot being hit ticket to the 1 horse in here at 35 to 1, Mighty Knight. Wow. That would result in this Empire 6 getting hit this afternoon.
That would, if this horse wins, I might not show up tomorrow.
2 starts, has been dead last in both for trainer.
But good luck.
Trainer Peter Chin.
I'm rooting.
Hey, you never know.
I'm rooting.
You never know. $200 new member bonus. Get signed up, started with Naira Bets and use that promo code LIVE to take advantage. Bet any track, anywhere, anytime with NairaBets.com or download the Naira Bets app.
You gotta really think about that. This person put a ticket together.
It's incredible.
Has hit everything so far, and this is the only horse they used. Oh, I need to meet this person.
We'll see. We've had scenarios where, what was it, Saratoga a couple summers ago? I think a 48-1 shot won a maiden type race like this on the turf. Especially in these maiden claiming turf races, sometimes some wacky things can happen.
I mean, here's the thing: the horse had a little trouble last time. Was 90-1 facing maiden special weight. Didn't do any running when they ran for 40 back in May. The trainer's 5 for 408, 1%. A 1% trainer. I mean, maybe they know something I don't know.
And here's the horse that will result in the Empire 6 getting hit this afternoon. It's a 35-1 Mighty Knight. Heeman Harkey, Peter Chin.
Like I said, trouble last time. I don't think good enough, but I am rooting for the person who's alive in the Empire 6.
No question. We'll see how it plays out here. Don't Tell Flora, the 2, another big price, 31-1, bolted. Walked off last start.
Yeah, and was off the turf in the previous start. So maybe this is exactly what this one's been wanting, to finally get on the grass and to not have trouble.
Minute Moz 15-1 for Gary Siaka.
And this is the first time going long for DT Stables. A lot of people probably listen to Steve Bick's radio show, so we'll be rooting for Steve and his group with this horse trying to go long for the first time.
Major contender in the 4 here, already celebrating for the Tom Morley barn, has Dylan Davis aboard.
Horse was finishing last time. Maggie mentioned the equipment change. Had a lot going on last time, a lot less going on this time. This is my top pick. I think this one will be finishing.
Farcical. Javier Castellano hops aboard.
This one needs a little bit of pace. Kind of falls pretty far out of it. I don't know where that pace is going to come from, but this is one of the 4 I think can win the race.
Ari's Gal Suse, so 2 sprints. Maggie was talking about this filly by New York Playboy. 2 sprints, stretches out for the first time and puts blinkers on.
Stretching out, putting on the blinkers, needs to get out of the gate. Those are 3 things that could help this one get out of the gate a little bit better.
Another long shot and an equipment change on this one as well. Blinkers off, dancing slippers, Rajiv Mirage aboard.
This is the Wolfie Special right here. This one's never been lower than 20-1. Never really had that winning race. I'll pass, but I'll root for you.
I thought an outside look.
Let's run 3rd or 4th with this thing.
Could hit the board, certainly. 87 North, major player, David Donk, Manny Franco.
Yeah, this is the 2nd time with Donk. I think this horse could improve in this spot as well. So here's one of the other of the 4. No need to get too creative in this race.
I'm with the public. I thought this was the one to beat here. Faced a horse last time out, Double Happiness, who actually was 3rd in a stake behind Kid is Frosty, and this is the first time in for a tag.
I love when horses are dropping. I think those are the ones you want in these maiden 40 races. My only concern is that this is a Bill Mott horse that has really taken no money in the career. 13-1 on debut, 38-1 last time.
And Molly's Nighthawk on the outside for John Kimmel. Declan Carroll at 10-1.
If there's a 5th horse that can win this race, this is the one that I feel like it can. Has had 4 races at maiden 40 that are actually pretty good. And I don't know what happened last time, closing into a slow pace. Was bet that day 5-1. This one could improve.
It was 3rd at this level at Belmont at this distance back on June the 2nd behind Rossellini and next out winner Moyne Spun. So double-digit odds there. We've had a lot of non-formful events happen so far in this late Pick 5, with the exception of that last race with the favorite winning. It's been all upsets to that point, and we'll see if it continues here in this last race coming up. Great returns in the Pick 5, and I want to say in the Pick 5, not necessarily your other wagers, but in the Pick 5, I think it's Farcical who's your favorite.
See, in the Pick 3.
It is.
Yeah, okay.
There's a look at Double Happiness. So 5-2. This is your current favorite on the board. And anytime a horse drops from State Bred Maiden Special into Maiden Claiming for the first time, and it's for a Hall of Fame trainer as well, you figure it's going to be pretty tough.
Yeah, it's hard to gauge a lot of times with these types of horses, though. You don't know if they're dropping just because they're giving up. They don't see there's much talent there. So let's go ahead and drop, see if someone else wants to take the horse and take a chance, or if they're dropping to win. Sometimes it's a combination of both. But Double Happiness, to me, I wouldn't be surprised, but I'm also not really going to cut in front of line at anybody to bet this horse at 5-2.
2 minutes to post here in our nightcap. Let's head trackside, check in again with Maggie.
And guys, while your current favorite, number 9, Double Happiness, she's moving great. Got a nice solo warm-up with Junior Alvarado aboard. We're going to take a look at number 5, Farcical, as you guys were saying, might end up being the second choice. I don't know, but favored in some doubles. Last time, I thought she looked great. Her coat was resplendent. The 9 furlongs, maybe it was ultimately too far. I thought she would be able to handle it, but then again, she got wired that day with a horse who got loose out in the front end in big expense. But I'll tell you what, since the temperature's dropped, her coat's kind of completely going the wrong way. Sometimes it matters, sometimes it doesn't, but it's just something I noticed considering she only ran 2 weeks ago and it went that quickly. So I will never take a short price on a horse that I notice that with, especially these fillies. It does affect them, the change in the weather. And number 10, Molly's Nighthawk, while she does have a bit of a longer coat, it's very shiny and very rich and healthy. And, you know, Declan Carroll, it's his first day riding here. He has had a second early on in race number 1. But what I love about Declan, gosh, he's so tall, the poor kid, but as he said to Richard Migliori, it's nice being up here in New York. The weights are a little bit higher, but Declan's a really well-rounded horseman. Obviously, he comes from those bloodlines with his dad, a trainer, now assistant to Mark Casse, his mom, a rider, exercise rider, his sister, works with the Olympian 3-day eventer and Philip Dutton, and he used to ride event horses and show horses as well. So I really appreciate that about him, kind of having that horseman's knowledge while being a jockey as well. Guys?
Making their way onto the turf course here. We're about to load up, and Declan Carroll made an immediate impact in that opener on the card. He ran a tremendous race on Duncastle, just missed at, I want to say
10-1.
10-1 was double-digit odds,
yep.
wasn't it? Yeah.
I know. Mig came in to watch the race with us, and I forgot that I mispunched my pick 5 ticket, so I was silently scared he was going to win and I was going to get beat, but it doesn't matter. I got beat anyways because Chad beat me.
We'll see if he can make something happen here in the nightcap. 14-1 on the 10, Molly's Nighthawk. Young Declan Carroll, 5-pound apprentice, again represented by Richard Migliori. As we see the 2 move in, Don't Tell Flora. In the end, you're going to wind up here, though, with the 4, right?
Yeah, I'm going to go with the 4. I felt like she was really trying last time, and second off of a break. And I like the kind of positive info from Maggie on the equipment change. Obviously, when trainers start changing something or taking less equipment off, they're feeling good about the direction which the horse is going.
Pace-wise, you expect to see Double Happiness like she was last time out in front?
I would think so. I mean, when you drop down to this level and you feel like you're the best, most classy type, what's the point of rating, right? Get involved, get in the race, and see what happens.
We'll see if Junior Alvarado, he is aggressive early on the 9, Double Happiness. She is your favorite as we send it upstairs to the voice of New York racing for the nightcap. Here's Larry Colmus.
They're all in line. They're off. Don't Tell Flora sent out of there with Minute Mouse and Mighty Knight on the inside, and then it's Ari's gal Suse away running in 4th just to the outside of them, making their way around the turn. Double Happiness, Molly's Nighthawk, and already celebrating lined up behind them, 5 from the front. Then Farcical and 87 North. The trailer is Dancing Slippers, and they're on to the backstretch, where it's a long shot in front. It is Mighty Knight at 98-1 out there on a 2.5 length lead. Ari's gal Suse tracks second by 3, already celebrating his 3rd, Minute Mouse 4th. The Double Happiness on the inside and checking through the pack there. Don't Tell Flora losing several positions and now is at the rear of the field. So they continue up the backstretch, still with Mighty Knight in front, 2.5. Ari's gal Suse second, already celebrating 3rd, Minute Mouse on the outside, 4th. The Double Happiness on the inside, followed by Molly's Nighthawk, who's joined by 87 North in between horses. Then Farcical to the inside, Dancing Slippers and Don't Tell Flora. 49.51 was the half mile for Mighty Knight, who continues this long shot pursuit around the far turn. The leader by 2.5 lengths. Minute Mouse is getting going, and so too is Molly Molly's Nighthawk, who's revving it up 3 wide midway on the far turn. Dancing Slippers with a 4 wide burst after the leaders. Then 87 North already celebrating is next. Farcical is coming wide. And then it's Ari's gal Suse, and they're into the stretch. And now Minute Mouse is emerged up top. The leader by a length and a half coming into the final furlong. And then comes Dancing Slippers, Farcical, and Molly's Nighthawk on the inside, followed by Double Happiness. It is Minute Mouse in front close to home, and at 27-1, Minute Mouse did it. By 2.5 lengths on the wire. It may have been Double Happiness second in a photo with Farcical in 87 North.
Well, briefly, Mighty Knight gave someone a thrill for the Empire 6, but in the end, Minute Mouse, this is a real tough one to have as well, had never hit the board in 10 prior starts. This is going to result in a late pick 5 that's close to $80,000.
Yeah, look, congratulations to Steve Bick and DT Stables. This horse was trying, you mentioned it hadn't really shown much on paper going shorter. This is the first time with an opportunity to go a little bit longer, the mile and the 16th, and that was obviously the difference. This horse ran good and wasn't really they weren't running at him late. He was kind of opening up and extending, so congratulations to the connections.
27-1 in the nightcap after a brief thrill from Mighty Knight. Here came the field, and this was not one that many expected was one who was going to be there. Very close for second. I'm not sure if the 9 got up for second or not. We'll have that for you shortly. First, a break. 27-1 upset in the nightcap after we had only one favorite win in the late pick 5 to this point. The biggest shocker yet. Back with prices right after this on America's Day at the Races.
No sport in the world brings the wins home like racing. It's one of a kind, high speed, high stakes action. And Naira Bets takes you there. Place your bets and watch the races live from anywhere. With Naira Bets, make easy, secure deposits and promotions every day to earn reward points or cash. Download the Naira Bets app or visit NairaBets.com. Sign up now for a $200 new member bonus with promo code LIVE at NairaBets.com.
Coming on strong.
Minute to stardom. On top, coming down to the final 16th, opening up a 2-length lead.
Feel my love for you.
Wild About Star, shining big here in Berry 1.
Oh, why did I wrong?
Testing 1, 2. The Star Guitar filly leads Champagne Diva close to home. It's testing 1, 2.
Feel my love for you. Coming on strong.
Piranha, the leader in fly control and wipe and spray products, now has premium equine grooming products. Introducing Aloe Pro Shampoo, an organic concentrate enriched with vitamins A, D, and E, and silk protein. Piranha Detangler, a dry comb-through detangling spray that conditions, moisturizes, keeping tail and mane manageable. And Shine Baby Shine, a water-based coat conditioner that leaves a show ring shine every time. Visit piranhaeat.com to see our full line of equine products, and for a limited time, use promo code NAIRA to receive a 10% discount on your order. Piranha on, pests gone.
Back on America's Day at the Races, and the biggest surprise of the entire card comes in our finale here. Minute Mouse, Courageous Cat filly, trying something new, stretching out for the first time on the turf, gets a win at 27-1.
That's the handicapping lesson here, and it's a hard lesson to take because it's hard to see horses like this, but when horses are trying something different, you have to use your imagination and say, oh, well, what if this happens? Could this happen? Look, I thought the other 4 horses had this race locked up. I clearly was wrong about that. Minute Mouse pays $57, and if you were alive in any multi-race bet, you're a happy person.
Well, if you finished.
You finished. No, but I'm saying if you were alive to that horse, hit that horse in the pick 4, the pick 3, the double, doesn't matter.
$78,768. Incredible return on the late pick 5. Well done. That's some serious handicapping, and you got it done, so congratulations. Showdown standings. Someone created $374.75. Yellow Cake, well done. Again, every day you can get involved in our Showdown contest, and you're competing for real prizes without risking any of your own money, so no excuse, not to get involved.
Spite the Devil is in front. Spite the Devil is in front by a head. Funny Side on the inside. In tight. Now Funny Side's in front. A furlong to go. Funny Side the leader. Now beginning to edge away from Spite the Devil, who took a bold run at him. Farther back, Go Rockin' Robin is third. Funny Side in front. Spite the Devil full out, trying to come again. Funny Side holds on.
Hard to believe. That was 16 years ago. First ever New York bred to win the Kentucky Derby. First gelding to win the race since 1929.
What a cool horse. I was somewhere running around in college, I think, when all that went down. But really cool horse, and it's good to see those Silks still participating in racing.
They might have the best Derby prospect around right now in Tis the Law, Saratoga Stables. But Funny Side, what a horse. The gutsy gelding, still a fan favorite at the Hall of Champions at the Kentucky Horse Park.
Funny Side is very unique. I always introduce him as the Kentucky Horse Park's most famous resident. A lot of people come here and won't know much about racing, and then they hear the name Funny Side and it rings a bell and it all comes back, and that happens several times a week.
Turn, it's coming again! Down to the point of the 16th, Newfoundland, Funny Side fights his way to the lead! The gutsy gelding, indeed! Let's see for a gutsy gelding, Funny Side!
It's amazing to watch when they know there's a crowd watching and how they'll get the look of eagles every time. And it really does take your breath away every time. There's not many places that you can say you work with two Kentucky Derby winners.
Because he's a bit like a conceited house cat. Some days he's very calm and loving, other days he says, no, maybe not, showing him off to the crowds. There's a lot of times that being the most famous horse on the park, a lot of attention his way. And you just have to go with the flow.
Funny can be tough at times. He's probably the toughest horse in the barn. We have several stallions. Although Funny Side's a gelding and aging a little bit at 19 years old, he's still tough. It takes professional horsemen to handle him. They're retired, but they have a little bit of a job where they're ambassadors for their sports.
These boys are my best friends in the whole world, and I feel very blessed to show them off to their adoring crowds and to work with such amazing people and amazing horses. It's definitely a blessing.
Well, at times he can be a little cantankerous, but still a fan favorite. And then every now and then, it still gets hundreds who visit him each and every day. He perks up a little bit and gets into it when the crowd's there to see him. This year's edition of the Sleepy Hollow, which is part of our stakes action on Saturday afternoon. It's the 8th race on the card, 1 turn mile. 2-1 favorite, City Man for Christophe Clement, who was a winner of the Funny Side at Saratoga.
Yeah, we got 3 horses coming out of here. I thought Cleon Jones was the one that had the best performance last time, and Jeremiah Englehart has been on fire with the 2-year-olds.
Hope you join us Saturday afternoon for that loaded lineup coming up on Empire Showcase Day. We'll see you tomorrow, 2:30 Eastern on Fox Sports 2, 4 Eastern on MSG+. Our Friday card in the books, Amundsen. He's in the form of his life right now, and it looks like he deserves a chance against stakes competition after he put away a field, including some older horses, in today's 7th race. He's now won back-to-back starts. We'll see you on Saturday afternoon for Empire Showcase Day.
Run Happy is simply super. He polished
No medication, no problem. Run happy, standing at Claiborne Farm.
It's been home to some of the sport's biggest moments, monumental achievements, and extraordinary records. At Santa Anita, we'll set another before the first gate even opens, as the Breeders' Cup returns for a record 10th time. This November, the stars will shine. Champions will be crowned. And when the unbelievable happens, you'll want to be there to see it. The Breeders' Cup World Championships.
Flatter. This prolific son of AP Indy has sired 6 millionaires, including Eclipse champion West Coast. This year, he's adding even more stakes winners to his outstanding record, including Sovereign Award winner Avies Flatter. In the auction ring, his yearlings have topped the Fasig-Tipton July sale 2 years in a row. Success on the track, success in the ring. Flatter, standing at Claiborne Farm.
That time at Oaklawn, win a home run. Made for a big night. Bet on your favorite teams at Oaklawn's new race and sports book. Oaklawn, a new level of action, a new level of excitement.
The thermal spring waters our city is named after are known for their legendary healing properties. Their thirst-quenching properties are pretty nice, too. Hot Springs, Arkansas. It's different here. Come see why.